There are 5 habits that can make or break your success when it comes to porn addiction recovery. And they don't have anything to do with putting filters on your phone or distracting yourself when you have an urge. That's the old traditional way of approaching this issue, where you get tools to implement for after you've already been triggered. But by then it's too late. You're already in the cycle. And so I want to give you the habits that can help you get out ahead of the urges before the triggers even happen, so you can address the root cause and actually maintain a sense of freedom instead of just battling urges and eventually giving in. The first and one of the most powerful habits that you can develop takes less than 15 seconds to begin. It sounds something like this, where you open up and say, "My boss made a comment in a meeting today that made me feel like no matter how hard I work, it's never going to be enough. And it's just been bothering me all day. I just needed to get that out." You see how little time that takes you to do? And if you were to share something that's actually weighing on you, then you'd feel lighter almost immediately. Researchers at UCLA found that just by simply naming what you're feeling and sharing it with somebody else reduces the intensity of the emotions. That's habit number 1. You're expressing your struggles instead of burying them. Most men don't do this. They carry stress, they carry disappointment and shame and self-doubt until it builds up into this emotional pressure. And pornography becomes a way that they can escape the pressure. That's why I often tell men who are struggling with this issue that pornography use is not the core of the problem, it's the pressure release valve. The urge just doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's your brain trying to cope with something that hasn't been processed yet. And so if you just keep that bottled up, you keep all the heaviness in, it will then turn into an urge. So whether you share it with your wife or a friend or a coach or somebody that you trust, developing the habit of naming what's actually going on helps you to release the pressure before it grows into an urge that feels impossible to resist. Habit number 2 is learning how to identify the root cause of the urge. Most men treat urges the exact same way. They either fight it and resist it, or they give in. But not every urge comes from the same place, and that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see men make. As a licensed therapist, one of the first things that I like to help men do is figure out why the urges are showing up. What's the root of this? Because once you know the source, you then can know what tool to use. So what helps in this is understanding that there are 3 different types of urges, and each one requires a different tool. The first one is emotional. Let's say it's stress or loneliness, shame, discouragement. This emotional pain feels heavy and your brain wants to escape. The second is the habit-based urge. This one's not about emotion at all. Maybe it's just Tuesday at 10 p.m. and you've followed the same routine so many times that your brain just automatically expects to turn to pornography. The third one is physical. It's simply a normal sexual drive that we all have that gets directed in an unhealthy way. These are 3 very different sources, and they require completely different responses to resolve the urge. So for example, let's say you're feeling an urge and it's in the emotional category. Habit number 1 that we just discussed, opening up and sharing what's going on for you emotionally, how you're feeling, the heaviness of that, that's one of the many tools that you can use. If it's a habit-based urge, you just need to change the routine that's triggering the pattern. And if it's physical, you can channel that energy in healthy ways, whether it's in your relationship, or you can simply allow the feeling to just rise and fall through a mindfulness practice instead of reacting to it. So the next time an urge shows up for you, don't ask how you can fight it. Instead, ask yourself, which category is this coming from? That is the question that will change everything for you, because it'll tell you what you actually need instead of trying to resist and fight against the urge. So if you want some more tools on how you can identify your own root causes, I put together a free guide that walks you through the process of how to do that. And you can click on the link below in the description and download it for free. Habit number 3 is what I call a bridge plan. This is one of the biggest differences between simply managing your urges and actually preventing them. Imagine you're driving your car and you drive it straight off a cliff. You didn't know it was there. Once you've driven over the edge, there's no turning back. You're in a free fall. Yes, an airbag might help reduce some damage. Yes, maybe you can take some breaths to calm yourself down, but it doesn't stop the crash. This is how most traditional porn addiction recovery advice works. When you become triggered, then distract yourself. When you're triggered, call somebody. Go for a walk. Sure, those things are healthy, but if you're in the urge, you're fighting an uphill battle because you've driven off the cliff already. You're already triggered and in the cycle again at that point. So the bridge plan is what keeps you from getting there in the first place. Instead of preparing for the crash, you decide ahead of time what you're going to do in situations where you normally do get triggered. For example, maybe your most common pattern happens after work. You get home, you're mentally exhausted, you sit on the couch, grab your phone, and start scrolling. Your brain's not looking for pornography in that moment. It's just looking for relaxation. It's looking for relief. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's good to relax when you're tired. The problem, though, is the routine that you've built to try to get that need met. This is where the bridge plan comes into play, and it has 3 steps. Step number 1 is you identify the moment that you need a new pattern. So that's what we just did. It's the moment that you come home and you're exhausted and you just want to relax and unwind. Step number 2 is you decide ahead of time what new behavior will actually help you unwind and meet that need in a healthy way. Maybe it's taking a 10-minute walk, or sitting outside for a few minutes, or talking to your wife or your friend, playing with your kids, stretching, getting organized for tomorrow. There's so many different ways to do that. The specific activity isn't really what matters. What matters is that whatever you choose genuinely helps you to relax or meet your need instead of leading you towards pornography. The 3rd step is that you mentally rehearse it. You close your eyes and literally picture yourself arriving home tired. Imagine yourself choosing a new routine instead of the old one. This mental rehearsal helps your brain to begin wiring in this new pattern before you're standing in that moment. Over time, the brain stops automatically driving towards the cliff, and it starts taking the bridge instead, the new pathway that you created. Habit number 4 is doing a daily emotional check-in with yourself. One of the reasons that so many men struggle to overcome pornography is because they don't really know what they're feeling. There's stress, there's disappointment and resentment, loneliness, discouragement. All of this gets just lumped together into this uncomfortable feeling. And somebody often will say, I just feel overwhelmed, or I'm just exhausted or tired. And it's the feeling that makes them want to escape. So if you don't really know what you're feeling, it's hard to figure out what to do to resolve it. So once a day, it doesn't have to be even more than 30 seconds. You just pause and ask yourself, what am I actually feeling? Not what happened, not what you need to do, but what's happening emotionally. Maybe you're still carrying frustration from a conversation with your wife from 2 days ago. Maybe you're anxious about work, or you're feeling disconnected and discouraged, and you haven't really fully identified it yet. One of the biggest benefits of this habit is that it helps you to then identify where you can put your bridge plan in place. And so as you begin to notice the situations and emotions that repeatedly show up, you can proactively build in new routines for that moment instead of just waiting until you're already triggered. You can't build a bridge if you don't know where the cliff is. So the goal is to first start by getting awareness, because you can't even address what you're not recognizing. Once you've gotten clear about what's going on internally, then it becomes so much easier to figure out what you need to find some closure. And when you do that, the urges won't keep showing up because you've resolved the core issues. Habit number 5 is paying attention to your self-talk and responding with self-compassion. This habit works at the deepest level. Before the urge shows up, there's often this internal belief running underneath it. I'm not good enough. No matter what I do, I'm always going to struggle. There's something wrong with me. I'm just bad. These beliefs create emotional pressure, and that is what fuels the urge. So the goal is not to use affirmations and try to convince yourself that you are a great guy. Rather, you're first just trying to notice the self-talk. Understand what are the beliefs under the surface. Once you've done that, the next step is to learn to talk to yourself just like you would if you were speaking to a really close friend or somebody that you cared about. For example, If your son came to you or your friend came to you and said, I feel like I just mess everything up, you wouldn't agree with him and tell him he's right and he's not doing enough. No, you would remind him that everybody makes mistakes, that we can grow, we can change. One moment doesn't define who you are. You deserve that talk yourself. And that's what self-compassion is. You're just being kind and empathetic. And most men were never taught how to do this. So it's easy to believe that being hard on yourself will motivate you to change. But what really actually helps you to change is understanding and encouragement. It's clear action items to make progress. So speaking to yourself in this more compassionate way is the first step to making the changes that you want. Every time you replace harsh self-criticism with something that's truthful and compassionate, then you actually reduce the emotional pressure that was building under the surface. That's why this habit is so powerful. It doesn't just address the urge, it addresses the beliefs that are creating the pressure that lead to the urge. So these are the 5 habits. They each take less than 1 minute to practice. None of them rely on white-knuckling. You don't have to resist any temptations. Instead, they work before the urge becomes overwhelming by reducing the emotional pressure. They change unhealthy routines. They help you to address deeper patterns that keep this struggle alive. So my encouragement is that you just pick one this week. Practice it consistently. Small changes over time create lasting freedom. So I hope that this has helped, and I'll see you in the next one.